Hello and welcome to the 500 workshop. Today on this 500F we're going to be replacing the wiring loom on the whole car. Now the reason why we're doing this is because this car is a 1966, so we're talking 50 plus years old, and the wiring loom that we have in this car is really brittle, and it's just starting to fatigue in a few places, and rather than do individual repairs, I'm just going to strip it out and make it really nice. So what I decided to do was I bought a wiring loom for the first series F, and it comes with some labels on, kind of indicating, we have our wiring diagram here, indicating different components on our wiring diagram. So each one of them is numbered, and each of those numbers relates to a different component, so you can track that. This version has coloured wires on it as well, which do match to the loom, because I've checked all that out. And what I've done is gone through every single connection on the loom and labelled it up. And what I've created are these small little stickers. So I just got some stickers from a local stationery store, and I've marked out every single connector that it connects to and the colour of the wire. And I created two sets of these. So the first set I hooked up to the actual new wiring loom, so each connector has a sticker on it. And then what I've also done to try and make sure that everything's in its right place and I know where things are, is I've gone round, and so far I've only done the front, I haven't done the back, but the entire wiring loom, and labelled up every single wire. Now this is quite tricky on these old wires. They're dirty, they're all stuck together, there's not much movement in the wires, so trying to get those stickers on has been a bit of a problem, and it's probably taken me the best part of an hour, 2 hours to do the new wiring loom, just because I was tracing it out. It wasn't fixed in the car, I didn't know what everything was, so just trying to trace that out a little bit. And so far it's probably taken me a couple of hours to do the front here. Now I could have done it quicker, but I wasn't going to rush. I wanted to do it properly, and I wanted to understand what everything is and where everything is. What is interesting is some of the pieces, for instance, the what's this one, 14, is the change switchover lighting and flashes. So that's the stalks on your steering wheel for the lights and the indicators. That comes with its set of own leads, some of which connect into the loom, some of which connect directly into the devices or components. So when I was looking at the new loom, I was kind of like, where's that cable? I can't see it, I don't know where it is. A good example of that is, I think there's only one pink wire on this entire diagram, and that goes from that indicator stalk into the fuse box, and I was desperately trying to search on the new loom for that. It wasn't on there, it was actually on the indicator switch itself, so or the stalk itself, so that just comes straight from the stalk and into that fuse box. So I wasn't actually missing any wires, which is good. So I've yet to label up the back, but I think I'm going to tackle the front first. It's quite a complex loom. Sorry, it's not a complex loom, not compared with modern cars, but there's lots of little fiddly bits to get into. You can see that I've already removed the bonnet. I've got a video on that if you're not sure how to do that. And I've removed the fuel tank. So if you're not unsure how to do that, I've got a video on that as well, check that out. I've also removed the air intakes. There's two, one there and one that side. They just pull out, they're kind of concertinaed, kind of cardboard with a, I don't know if you can see that, they're kind of cardboard with a metal kind of running around to probably insulate, but also to kind of give it some more rigidity. So I've removed both of those. just to try and give me maximum access to everything that I'm looking for. One thing I've done as well is remove the fuse box, and this is because I want to give it a clean up. So the fuse kind of holder should have a cover on it. Now this one hasn't. Assume it's gone missing over time. But what I'm going to try and do is I've taken pictures of everything where I can, just to make sure I understand where it all goes together. What I'm going to try and do with a wire brush is clean up all these connectors and just clean this up a bit more. We've also got fuses in here, and I've actually haven't taken a picture yet, so we'll do that now. Just of what the fuses are and where they are. They all have an amperage on them. So from this, I can see, let's just see if we can get a close-up of that a little bit. So these black ones all appear to be 8 amp fuses, all got an 8A on the back, and the green one and the red one here seem to have a 16 on. So I can't actually find a diagram to tell me whether they're the right fuses or not, so I'm going to do a bit of research on that. But assuming they are, I'm going to replace some of them. So for instance, look at that one, nice kink and bend in that. Now it seemed to be doing what it should do, so it's probably not the end of the world, but it's out the car, why wouldn't I switch it over? So I'm going to clean this up, and then I'm going to start trying to remove components to fit the new wiring loom. This car also actually has 2 Corello lights on the front, so actually you'll be able to see them in this little diagram here. So these 2 yellow lights are an addition. Whoever's wired them in has wired them in quite nicely. They have their own little relay here, and they seem to be taking the positive power supply from the top of the fuse box, so it was in this connector here. And what I need to try and do is obviously not disturb that wiring. That was all working well, so just need to try and keep it in situ. So yeah, let's get started with cleaning up this. So using some degreaser and a brass wire brush, I've cleaned this up, put in all new fuses, replaced them for what they were, so let's just hope they were the right ones for now. But it's looking much cleaner, much nicer. You can see what's going on now. I've tried to give all the terminals a nice little clean as well with some abrasive. So yeah, should be good to fit back on the car. The actual fuse terminal itself was covered with overspray and all kinds of stuff, so just wanted to make sure that it was clean as I could get it. Right, so there's 2, we can't see very well, it's going to be very difficult to record this and show you, but there's 2 kind of little metal strips that this fits onto. We're just going to carefully, without trapping all the wires that are there, carefully lower this back down into its place and secure it back on the car. Now I know I've cleaned that up, I know I've spent like 5-10 minutes making it look nice. It doesn't have a cover, so there's a good chance that I still might replace it. But it's not a priority this second. Now I'm going to fit the pink one back in because I can, without damaging it. I might need to just open that up because I just did close it up very slightly. Just maybe over closed it just very slightly, so I'm just going to try and get a flat head just to open it up just gently. These are meant to fit quite tight, but it's not too tight. we go. Yeah, it moves about a little bit, so I'm going to give it a bit of a squeeze. Now it's in. And the grey, so the pink and the grey, that referred to my wiring diagram, so make sure I get it in the right place. So grey goes in this point here. These are both from the they're both from the light and indicator selector, so just putting those back where they should be, and I'm going to leave the rest for now because the new connections will go in as we bring the new wiring loom in. So here we have our new wiring loom, kind of placed it kind of where it wants to go. So here we've got this is a left-hand drive, so here we've got the headlight on the passenger side here. Now, as you can see, it's got one DX on there, which corresponds to the side light. And I've labelled everything kind of A if it's on this side and B if it's on this side. So I've got 2A, which is ground, 1A to 3B blue. So I know this runs from the headlight to the side repeater, and I can basically then work out where all these wires go. Now, another fiddly bit is going to be feeding the loom in and out of the side. So let's just see if I can get a bit of a close up here. Difficult to tell sometimes what I'm actually recording. Here we go. So the loom kind of feeds in and out of the side here, and all the way under the top there to keep it nice and neat, which makes it a bit more of a challenge because I was hoping to take out one and put in one. So what I might need to try and do is feed the lights and everything through first, just very carefully, and then still manage to get the old ones out as I pull them through. As you can see, it's a bit of a jungle. So I think these are all the lights. Yeah, these look like these are all the lights. So I'm going to feed this through first. Okay, so that's all the lighting kind of part of the loom, and a few other bits passed through. Now I also need to pass the passenger side through through where the bonnet clips. You won't be able to see me do this, but I'll feed it through now. So that's fed through, and now it should just be a case of removing where I've got the I'm going to start this side. I'm going to remove the old headlight cables and stuff and just all start just plugging it in nicely, hopefully. One of the other challenges I've got is that it's all, someone's nicely taped it together so that it all is nice. So I need to remove some of this tape and some of these. It's also got, I can't pull it up enough, but it's also got cable ties on it. So I want to remove those just to give a bit more freedom to the wires to take them in and out easier. So I'm just going to get a scalpel. There we go, and I'll use a scalpel just very gently because it's got a very fine blade, which can mean that it cuts things easily, obviously. At the same time, you can be quite precise with it, and it's quite a small blade. So there you go, I've got that one off quite easily. And then for the tape, I'm going to pause the camera so I can take the tape off. Electrical tape that's on this, absolutely brittle, been on for years and years, kind of very stuck together, quite hard to get off, and it kind of comes apart in tiny pieces because it's so brittle. It just won't pull off nicely. The light cluster done on this side. Here are the old wires. We can start taking those out. You can see the colour difference between the wires. You know, this has got overspray, grime, dirt, all kinds of stuff on it. But the more important thing is the wires just have no flexibility. They're just absolutely brittle. And they're worse around the back in the engine bay where they're getting heat cycles all the time and stuff. So yeah, pulling this out. So now I need to carefully work out how I'm going to pull this through to start taking it out. I'm not cutting the wires to remove them all. That would be obviously the quick, dirty, easy way to do it. The reason why I'm not doing that is just in case. I mean, you never know. You need to check back on something, or the new wiring loom's not working for some reason and you need parts, or you need to reference it to understand what happened, or God forbid we need to put it back in, because that would be a bit of a disaster. I mean, it's all labelled up, so you should be able to do it, but hopefully all the new loom will be good. I'm just going to feed this back through. If I can. It's a little bit tangled up at the moment. One of the challenges I've got here is that it's actually tangled up with the new Corello lights at the front. So I need to unplug these, I think. There we go. Hopefully it's just a easy space connector. I'll move this out for a second. Pull all the old stuff back through. It's the old part. And hopefully I can just feed this back through and connect it back up. There we go. Right, so first very early stage done. Oh, side light repeaters come off. I need to tighten this a little bit because I felt it was a little bit loose. It's always good to have a pair of pliers around. This is where you tighten out just slightly too much on the spade connector. It doesn't want to go on. Yeah, it's still a bit loose. Tighten it a little bit more. Just trying to gently crank the connector. That's much firmer. Okay. So there. That's that side done. Now we're on to this side. Right, I'm going to take a picture of the horn, which is at the front here on this car, because I'm going to take the horn connections out and I want to just remember which one's which. But just doing that because it should give us slightly easier access to everything else if we can just remove this part of the loom a little bit. So I can see what I'm doing better. And here we have 7, which I think is the new horn. Let's just check that. Number 7. No, that's the stop light. Okay. So the stop light connections go onto the brake master cylinder, which is under the car. So I'll have to pull those up in a second and take pictures as well to make sure I understand where they are. Okay, here's the new horn connections. I'll leave those for a second while I tackle the lights, which is another cacophony of fun. But at least on this side I have not got the battery to worry about, because the battery kind of, I probably could have taken it out, made it slightly easier on myself, but I didn't. So that's the passenger headlight done, the driver's headlight done, and all the lights and indicators. The master cylinder done underneath the car, and the horn. And this leaves me with this nice cacophony of wires, which I now can extract, hopefully, through the same hole they went in through. These seem to be, I don't know whether the original was thicker or not, but it seems to be much thicker wiring loom. Just worried about scratching the paintwork, so trying to keep it all nicely away. I don't want to pull any of the new wires, damage them, so just trying to keep an eye on that to pull this through. through now. Under here, and these two wires. Oh, there's still one stuck. And then, so we have that whole piece out now. There's a lot more room. Let's see what everything is now. Right. So now we have still this lovely little piece of complex mess to sort out. Some of this is already disconnected because I disconnected it earlier. But other bits go all the way around and onto other components. So I've wired up the stash switches and the indicator kind of relay. I want to do the ignition next, but unfortunately this has got the wrong connectors on, so I'm going to have to strip those and put some spade connectors on. If you're not sure what a spade connector is, I'll just show you. So a spade connector just looks like this. Got two different sizes depending on the thickness of the wire. Slightly thinner hole there, slightly thicker hole there. So I've got a black one which is quite a thin hole and a red one which is a thicker wire. So unfortunately the blue, which is the thicker, is going on the red, and the red, which is the thinner, is going on the black. Okay, so I just had to pop out to well-known motoring establishment and buy some 20 amp female connectors, which are these, and that's because the red wire is a very thick wire, so I had to get the right fixing for that. I'm also not happy with the one I put on the black, so I'm going to do that one again. Also, you can't do this too many times, otherwise you're going to run out of wire. Crimp down this time. So here we go. Now we should be able to connect this up. Red was at the bottom. That's So the connector needs tightening. There we go. So now just pull, hopefully, all these old wires out the way. And come from. Right, so that's all wired up nicely. Now this section here goes through and into the binnacle. So that's going to be the next thing. Just taking that through to the binnacle. Feed this part of the loom through. And then get inside the car to swap those over. So managed to get the old wiring loom out. It was a real struggle to get it. It was tucked up behind the wiper motor. Now I need to decide whether I'm going to do the same and tuck it up behind the wiper motor. The challenge with doing that is that means I have to undo some of the stuff that I've already plugged in. At the same time, it does make it neater and out the way. But I'm also found that it's really difficult to get in and out of that, and there's some quite sharp edges, and you run the danger of actually kind of stripping some of the wires as you go. But the wiper motor has a connector here, and they should link up to these 4 wires. Now unfortunately the wires are different connectors. These are got spay connectors on, so I need to work out how I'm going to connect this into this block next, and then worry about whether I hide it behind or whether I just tuck it in and try and attach it to something to keep it out the way. So next job is to create some connectors for these wires here. So I have connected all this up, and that will go on that connector there. I've also just quickly put the switches back in the dash just so they're out the way, and I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. There's the relay that needs to be attached back up here somewhere, so I can do that in a few minutes. Just attach up there. I can start to see what I'm doing a bit better. I've got this wire which connects to the mirror at on the windscreen, and the only real way I can see of feeding this through the hole is by actually cutting this and sellotaping this on and then dragging it through. Can't see another easy way of doing it, so I didn't want to have to cut any of the wires, but I think I'm going to cut this one. Get this out of the way. Here's the new one and here's the old one. I'm just gonna put some tape here. Going to wrap that around, make it as small as possible. So I've just got a plastic trim tool, Just going to lever the rubber on the inside up so I can get some leverage and then try and pull the wire through. See how we go. Oh, that was challenging, but it's in and done. So here I've got some heat shrink, and I bought a box of this. Should be the right size. There's lots of these connections which all go into the indicator stalk, and they're all kind of touching, so we want to protect those against each other. Now the challenge is going to be heat shrinking them, but for now I'm just going to put them over before we test everything and make sure everything is doing what it should do. So I'm going to connect up these wires into here, and see where we get to next. Okay, so I'm nearing the end. I've connected up all the stalk components, and I've trying to make sure that the tubes are covering them so they don't touch. Now I've just got the rear loom to do and the fuse box. So what I'm not going to do today is replace the entire back. What I'm going to do is put it all back together, see if we can start it and then see if the electrics work at this point, and then we can tackle the back next week. So let's do the fuse first. Now I put all these, did draw myself a little diagram with the different fuses and their colours. So hopefully I can just plug, there's a couple of ones coming from the back, so we'll plug those in first. Seems a shame to put these horrible connectors back in our nice clean fuse terminal. So this is our brown, go in here, our yellow, check the label on that, 1B to 4, yep. So this one goes up top here. And then we have white, which goes down the bottom. Which one are we missing? Yellow, black. There we go, it's here. It's in. Okay. I've got the remaining ones for this side. I'll put the big red one in first. It's got a lot of sheath over the connection. Just gonna take some of that sheath off. It looks like it's otherwise it's not going to work as it should. There we go, that should do this. So we'll put that one in first. There we go, connection. Yeah, it wouldn't have clipped in properly if I hadn't done that. And then what have we got here? We've got two greys. Oh no, we've got a grey and a black. Green, so green goes in the top first. So that's in. Then we have grey black. Fit, and then grey. Okay, and then finally we have our rear loom here. It should connect up nicely. The remaining cables I've got. Just going to check this out. What have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, they should connect up. So again, we're just going to use some of our heat shrink just to separate them for now. I've got to say that doing this really makes your fingers quite sore, especially these connectors. They're very very difficult to push on. Actually having to use a couple of pairs of pliers just to help them together. There's the first one, just put the heat shrink over it so it doesn't connect with the others. What shall I do next? Brown seems to be here, so we'll do that. Got browns on. Next is going to be yellow. Finally we've got blue, black and blue. Oh, and sheath on. So this is blue, black, which is here. So that's in already. Can you click quite the same, but I'll take it. There we go. So that is everything connected, apart from the fuel tank, which I'm going to put back in just temporarily. Not going to hook it all up properly. I need to put this back in as well. This is the speedo that I just disconnected to make it easier to get the wires done. Looking in a good state at the moment. Well, obviously the test will be whether it actually works or not. Right, so everything's now nicely connected. Let's check those aren't touching each other, they look good. What I'm going to do is just place the fuel tank in. I'm not going to strap it down because I'm not driving. Then I'm going to plug these two wires in. I'm going to remove the tape. I don't want the tape on there for now. That hurt. Great. Okay. So I just need to do ground earth on it and connect the gauge wire. Very dusty in the last few hours that it's been on the floor, so I'll just give that a wipe over. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, hopefully. Bring it up a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to reconnect the fuel hose. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Remove the old one. And this doesn't want to come off, which is always good. That way, now I can turn it, hopefully. No, gosh, what's going on? Doesn't want to come. Where's my screwdriver? Help it a little bit. All else fails, cut it off. Not sure why that's not coming off very easily. Maybe the pipe's a bit small, I don't know. I don't think this is the same size pipe as usual. So anyway, that's off, and I can feel it moving around actually a little bit. So I am just going to put a strap on, probably just one, just to make sure it doesn't move. The way to do this is to start screwing in first, and then let's move over a little bit, and then just hook it over. Actually, I probably don't need to do more than that. So I'm just doing this just so it doesn't move when I start it, because that would be a bad thing, as you can probably imagine. Same with this one, so just hook it over. Clamp off, just make sure it's open again. Put this on. Screwdriver to tighten it back up. So we don't have any fuel leakage. Then fuel on connection, and finally our earth. need a couple of washers for that. Looks a bit big. Screw that on. I like that to be nice and tight, so I think this is 7. Please. I don't want to over tighten it. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Right, so we can go for starting and see what actually happens. Oh, I need to put my battery connect in again. There we go. Right, let's go and get our keys and see what we can do.